By first realizing what kind of lead type it is, right? Because the person could be an internet inquiry. Like they could have filled out a lending tree lead a year ago and your company or you have never contacted them. And so how do you engage that person versus someone who responded to a mailer ad like a year ago, right? And sometimes it could be even more recent. Sometimes it could be within the last month or last week, but this plays a role because someone who hasn't talked to your company in a year is a different approach versus someone who hasn't talked to your company in a week. There's just two different reasons. And so why this is important is because each has its own method of engagement, has its own technique to capture their attention. So if I came across a lead, right, regardless of the credit, regardless of the wants, regardless of their current situation, and the last time they engaged with me or my company, I'm just gonna say my company, I'm gonna say not even me, right? And it's been a year since there's been any contact made, I'm going to come across that lead and approach them like this. So let's say if I get a transfer from a customer service representative, right? And they say, hey, Daniel, I got Jim here. Jim, go ahead. Or Daniel, go ahead. You know, and of course, let's say they see CSR's name's, let's say Dan. I'll say, hey, thanks, Dan. Hey, Jim, I appreciate you holding. Dan's transferring you over to me because I'm licensed just to release out the information that you need. So I'm going to go ahead and send that out to you. And mind you, Dan should have told you that this is an outbound call, by the way. So before they transfer, and if the CSR isn't telling you if they transfer, before they transfer, if it's outbound or inbound, that's a piece of information you need to know. It'll give you more preparation than you can think, right? Like, because if they tell you, like, hey man, I got this on an outbound, you could probably go into it with a little bit of a different tonality. Like, you're in a rush, right? Because the person who was called on an outbound, especially by a customer service representative, there's a high chance that they didn't expect to talk to a salesman. So what I'm getting at is, because it's more likely that that person is not really going to expect the engagement, it's always best to prepare in the event that they don't, right? And if in the event that they do, then you're golden. But if in the event that they don't, you want to be able to invite them with a rhythm that they're going to be okay with, that they're going to accept and not want to fight.